Alright, quick update for Avalanche. So in the last video I said this is probably one of the altcoins that in my opinion is holding up the best. Out of a lot of the altcoins I've been covering, a lot of them kind of just made all-time highs around about this time and then have just been falling off the table since. Avalanche seems to be holding up really well. I mean, I've got this fib from all the way back here, so maybe I should draw a more recent fib from here to here. But even if I do draw this fib from here to here, you can see our 618 is at 61, 62, and in my opinion, we're looking really good. In the micro term, we're still above the 618 here. We back tested the 0.5. We didn't even come down to the 618. What I outlined in my previous video is that we in the short term at least we are just consistently making higher highs and well, not higher highs, sorry, we're making higher highs in the micro term, and in the macro term we're still putting in higher lows. So I've got this bullshit trend line here from the 17th of August, and we are just continually going up. So I'm going to get rid of this fib that I just drew because there is so much noise on my screen right now, but I will put a line through. This, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important 618 levels. Let me make a horizontal ray or a rectangle box, and I'll make this orange so you can see this is kind of like the 618 region that I'd really want to hold for this token. Now let me get rid of this, zoom back in so there's less noise on the chart. In the short term, like I said, we've got this micro fib. We retested the 0.5. We haven't had a strong bounce yet, but we are above the 0.5, we're above the 618, so at least in the short term we're looking pretty good. I do think massive volatility is coming in for this coin very, very soon. Namely, I outlined this in my last video, we are kind of in some, big triangle pattern. The RSI has been relatively flat and non-volatile since we've entered this. The money flow has been kind of chopping up and down, up and down. Not too much to see for the money flow indicator, I'd discount that, but I'd mainly talk about how subtle the volume has been, since we kind of entered this this triangle pattern. I mean, once we came down here, we've lost all volume. So normally when you do enter like a big pattern, volume does decrease, RSI becomes more flat and stagnant. So like I said, I think massive volatility is coming for this coin very, very soon, whether that's to the upside or the downside. Not yet decided, but if I was to make a prediction, if my life depended on it, I'd maybe be leaning more towards the upside, mainly because this token is just holding up so well. Like I said, we've been in a massive uptrend since the inception of this token, really. I mean, we came up, came down. The massive low that we put down here was higher than the lows we put down here. We came all the way up, put lows down in here. These lows were higher than here, and here. So all in all, the macro bull trend has really not changed. We're still looking very good. In the micro term, we are in a nice uptrend. We have had a few rejections and bashed our head against this red line a few times, but all in all, nothing to worry about. In the very micro term, I think if we backtest 70 and come up sharply, we could have a chance of breaking above here. On the flip side as well, I really wouldn't be too worried if we did come down and break this 618, because this is a micro fib. As long as we do hold, between, if we drop down like a rock, as long as we hold 66, we're good. And if we do kind of come down a little bit more like this, anywhere between 67 and 68, I think would be very good for us holding on this token. So the apex of this triangle is the 10th of April, so we still do have a ways to go. We've got about, what is this, another 5 weeks or so? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks and 2 days until we will have a decision. Most of the time, cryptos do break out of these big patterns way before we do get to the apex of it. So I'd probably say, from an untechnical perspective, the technical perspective would be we'd have a decision by the 10th of April. In my opinion, I think by the end of March, we'll have a strong idea whether we are finally breaking out of this descending resistance, or if we're going to fall through the bottom here. Now, if we do fall through the bottom, very briefly, like I said, keep an eye on this big orange box. As long as we hold 56, then we should be very good for an uptrend. And if I do zoom in as well, We are holding the 200-day moving average. I didn't see this before, mainly because I've got so many lines, drawings, fibs all over this chart, so there's a little bit too much noise on here. I do apologize, but yeah, I mean, all in all, we're above the 618 on the micro fib, we're above the 0.5, so extremely bullish. We're above the 200-day moving average. If we do lose this, like I said, a back test of anywhere between 70 and 66 would be completely fine, as long as we do have a strong bounce in the short term. So that's pretty much all I see for Avalanche. I will make another update on this, you know, when we do make a big decision, whether we do kind of dump down to the bottom of this trend line, or whether we do start bashing our head against the top of this trend line. But all in all, I am sitting on the sidelines for Avalanche right now. I'm not going to be buying, shorting, longing, or you know, buying on spot or anything. For me to kind of buy this token, I would need to see a break above this red resistance and a strong push up. Once we do something like that, I would be buying, you know, in this region here once we do have a push up, because once we get above this resistance, I think, you know, we have a really good chance of at least kind of coming and back testing these two highs that we've got up here. And, you know, I really don't see too much resistance that would get in the way after this breakout. The next macro fib is all the way at 112, so from 90, if we did kind of break out around here, where did I say, 120 or 112? 112. So all the way to 120, or 112, sorry, we would have about 23% trade on our hands, so, or no, 26%, sorry. So all in all, AVAX looks good in the long term, it looks good in the short term. Keep an eye on these targets that I've given you, and yeah, I'd like to see a breakout above this red line before I do get, you know, extremely bullish in the mid to long run for this. So that's all I see for AVAX. Once again, none of this is financial advice. This is just my opinion on the market, and you've always got to do what's best for you. Peace.